Taurus Weekly Tarot, July 22nd to 28th, 2026. Opening. Taurus, this week is asking you a surprisingly difficult question. Can you recognize abundance before it becomes obvious? Your card is the Queen of Pentacles. She does not arrive with promises of overnight transformation or dramatic victories. She arrives with evidence. Evidence of what is growing. Evidence of what is stable. Evidence of what deserves more of your attention, energy, and care. From July 22nd through July 28th, the sky begins changing direction. The Sun enters Leo. Mercury finally stations direct in Cancer. Saturn turns retrograde in Aries. After weeks when plans, conversations, or emotional decisions may have required revision, movement begins returning. But the Queen of Pentacles has no interest in rushing simply because the road has reopened. Her question is, what are you returning to? For Taurus, this week is about recognizing the difference between what looks valuable and what actually nourishes your life. Something you have been tending may finally begin showing you what it can become. But first, you have to stop overlooking what is already working. Cosmic weather. Wednesday begins with the Sun entering Leo. For Taurus, Leo season illuminates home, family, belonging, emotional security, and the private foundation underneath your public life. That makes the Queen of Pentacles especially meaningful. She understands that success is not only what other people can see. It is also the quality of the life you return to when nobody is watching. Then Thursday brings an important shift. Mercury stations direct in Cancer. Recent weeks may have brought crossed wires, delayed answers, reconsidered plans, unfinished conversations, or moments when you knew what you felt but could not find the right words. Mercury moving direct begins loosening some of that. But Mercury remains in its post-retrograde shadow, so patience still matters. Then Sunday, Saturn stations retrograde in Aries. For Taurus, this turns attention toward responsibilities, fears, or pressures operating quietly beneath the surface. Something you have been carrying may need to be examined more honestly. Not everything that consumes your energy deserves to keep receiving it. And that is where your card becomes the anchor. The Queen of Pentacles does not ask, "Can I handle more?" She asks, "Is this worth tending?" Card reveal. The Queen of Pentacles sits surrounded by a fertile landscape, holding a pentacle carefully in her hands. She is not gripping it or displaying it for approval. She is tending it. Pentacles belong to Earth, your own element. They speak of money, work, health, resources, the body, home, security, and everything that becomes real through consistent effort. The Queen represents mature stewardship of those things. She knows how to create comfort without becoming careless and how to provide without emptying herself. She understands that abundance requires both generosity and boundaries. This matters for Taurus because your instinct is often to preserve what has value. But sometimes preservation becomes attachment. Sometimes loyalty continues long after nourishment has stopped. Sometimes you keep investing because you have already invested so much. The Queen of Pentacles asks for a grounded measurement. Does this still grow? Does this still support you? Does this still deserve the resources you give it? Those questions can change the direction of your week. Card meaning. The Queen of Pentacles represents grounded abundance, practicality, nurturing, resourcefulness, stability, and the ability to turn care into something tangible. But this card is not simply about having more. It is about managing what you already have well. Your time is a resource. Your attention is a resource. Your body, skills, money, and emotional availability are resources too. Where are those resources producing something meaningful? And where are they disappearing without return? You may discover that the next level of your life does not require another opportunity. It may require better stewardship of the opportunities already present. Abundance may look less like receiving something spectacular and more like realizing that something small has become sustainable. A routine is working. A relationship feels safer. A skill is becoming profitable. A financial decision begins paying off. A boundary gives you energy back. Do not dismiss quiet progress simply because it is quiet. Earth rarely announces growth while the roots are forming. Areas of life. Love. In relationships, the Queen of Pentacles asks you to look at consistency. Not only chemistry. Not only promises. Consistency. If you are partnered, this can be a beautiful week for creating security through practical acts of care, making time for one another, sharing responsibilities, discussing finances, or improving the space you share. Love should not only be declared. It should be lived. If you are single, notice who makes you feel grounded rather than activated. Attraction can be exciting, but this card asks whether the connection has somewhere real to go. Someone may show interest through reliability rather than grand gestures. Pay attention to what they consistently do. Work. At work, your strength is practical intelligence. You may see a solution other people overlook because they are focused on speed or complexity. Simplify. Organize. Finish what is useful. Mercury turning direct can revive a conversation, proposal, contract, meeting, or project that slowed down. If something returns, review what changed while it was delayed. The Queen of Pentacles also favors making your expertise tangible. If you have a skill people regularly ask you for, consider what it is actually worth. Money. This is one of the strongest areas of your reading. The Queen of Pentacles is financially capable, but she is not reckless. This is a good week to review spending, savings, recurring expenses, pricing, income opportunities, or a purchase you have been considering. But the card does not demand restriction. It favors value. There is a difference between spending money and wasting money. There is also a difference between saving money and refusing to invest in something that genuinely improves your life. Ask, will this support me beyond the moment? Let that question guide you. Health and energy. Your body wants consistency more than intensity. Return to basics. Food that nourishes you. Enough water. Sleep. Sustainable movement. A calmer environment. The Queen of Pentacles reminds you that your physical life is not an inconvenience standing between you and your goals. It is the foundation that allows you to pursue them. If you have been treating rest as something you earn only after everything is finished, reconsider that arrangement. Your week day by day. Wednesday, July 22nd. The Sun enters Leo and attention turns toward your foundation. Look around you. What would make your home, workspace, or daily environment more supportive? You do not need a complete transformation. Improve one thing you interact with every day. Thursday, July 23rd. Mercury stations direct. A conversation or decision may begin moving again. Do not force the conclusion. Notice what you understand now that you did not understand 3 weeks ago. Friday, July 24th. Connection and practical harmony are emphasized. This is a good day for a conversation about money, relationships, plans, values, or something you want to make more stable. Speak simply. You do not need perfect wording. You need honesty that can be acted upon. Saturday, July 25th. Slow down enough to notice what is happening beneath the obvious. Something may be quietly changing in the way you value your time, relationships, or resources. Sunday, July 26th. Saturn stations retrograde. Pay attention to hidden obligations. Is there something you repeatedly worry about but never address directly? Is there a responsibility you carry automatically even though nobody actually asked you to? Today is about identifying what has been consuming resources in the background. Monday, July 27th. This is one of the more intense and revealing days of the week. Power dynamics can become visible. An unexpected development may alter a plan. Something you assumed was fixed may prove more flexible than expected. Stay grounded. You do not need to resist change simply because you did not initiate it. Tuesday, July 28th. Take inventory. What grew this week? What became clearer? What felt easier once you stopped forcing it? End the week by acknowledging tangible evidence of progress. Do not immediately move the finish line. Let yourself recognize what is already better. Journal prompts. First, where am I investing time, money, or emotional energy simply because I have already invested so much? Second, what part of my life is quietly becoming more stable, even if I have not given myself credit for it? Third, if I treated my energy as a valuable resource, what would receive more of it, and what would receive less? Weekly guidance. Your assignment this week is a resource audit. Choose 4 categories: time, money, energy, attention. Under each one, write down the 3 things receiving the largest share of that resource right now. Then ask one question. Does the distribution match what I say matters to me? You may discover that something important has been receiving almost nothing while something habitual consumes far more than you realized. Choose one adjustment. Only one. Move a little money. Protect 1 hour. Cancel one unnecessary obligation. Give one relationship more presence. Reduce one source of distraction. Finish one practical task that has been quietly draining your attention. The Queen of Pentacles does not create abundance by trying to maximize everything simultaneously. She directs resources toward what can actually grow. That is your work this week. Closing. Taurus, the Queen of Pentacles arrives as a reminder that abundance is not always loud. Sometimes abundance is having enough. Sometimes it is knowing what deserves your care. Sometimes it is a home that feels safer, a bank balance moving in the right direction, a relationship becoming more consistent, or a body you have finally started listening to. The sun entering Leo brings attention back to your foundation. Mercury turning direct allows stalled communication to begin moving. Saturn turning retrograde asks you to examine the responsibilities you carry where nobody else can see them. And through all of it, the Queen keeps returning to one principle. Tend what sustains you. You do not need to prove your worth through exhaustion. You do not need to keep investing in something simply because walking away would mean admitting it did not grow. And you do not need to overlook the good that already exists while waiting for something spectacular. Look at what is real. Protect what is valuable. Nourish what is growing. Your affirmation for this week is: I recognize the abundance already taking root in my life. I give my time, energy, and resources to what nourishes me, and what I tend with intention grows. Carry that with you through July 28th. Subscribe so your next weekly reading is waiting for you. Trust the timing. The stars have spoken.